He's going to be a little late. All right. Got a good crowd tonight. I want to welcome everybody to May 18th, 2021 meeting. Official time is 6:01. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And before I ask for approval of the agenda, we need to add on old business to our wellness program, if I could. At this time, I accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Mr. Graham, you going to do the honors tonight and open us up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, let us open our hearts, minds, and our souls tonight. Thank you for every day we are able to dwell in your kingdom and in your presence. Father, as we gather in this meeting, please bless our commissioners and their constituents to continue to glorify your holy name. Come be with us, dear Lord. Inspire us and lead us in the direction that we can benefit our community. We ask all this in this glorious name of Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Our special presentation tonight, if we could postpone it to another meeting, make sure Mr. Duke's here. Got to get a motion to postpone for another meeting.
Motion to postpone special presentation till a later date, Chairman.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank y'all very much. I'd love to have Mr. Duke here so we can present this for him. Mr. Brody's not here yet, so we need to skip over that. And if we can, move to board appointments. The library board appointment for 5 years. If y'all, 5-year term. That young lady that's on page 3 has asked to be considered for this. I had an opportunity to look at it. Ms. Cheney? Y'all had an opportunity to review it?
Right, read it the other day.
All right.
Yep.
Entertain a motion to appoint Ms. Cheney to our library board.
I make a motion to appoint Belinda Cheney to the library board.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. On our planning and zoning appeals, I asked Mr. Petrowski to come in, and he's got some ideas he'd like to share with the board on this.
Board, with the problem we've been having with filling positions on the Board of Appeals and the vacancies, the reappointments we need to do with the Planning and Zoning Board, thought we might consider combining the two boards into one, allowing the Planning Commission to serve the function of the Board of Appeals and Adjustments. Just an idea. I talked to the Planning Commission and the Board of Appeals and Adjustments about the idea, and they all supported it.
Any questions from Mr. Risner?
How many members, will go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, how many members are we short between the two boards, and how many members are supposed to sit on each board?
There are 5 members on each board. Currently, there are 5 members serving on the Planning Commission, 4 serving on the Board of Appeals right now. One of the members has not been able to attend since COVID started.
We've got openings now on planning and zoning. We have 2 openings on now, countywide and District 1. Is that correct? If you look at your emails, I think we've got 2 on planning and zoning, District 1 and countywide, and we've got 1 vacant on appeals. Which y'all stalled about, let planning and zoning do the appeals also.
I'm still a fan of keeping those separate because I think they do serve different purposes. And that gives us an opportunity to continue to develop leadership. For the individuals that applied to be on the library board, those that didn't make it, maybe an opportunity to offer that as an opportunity.
Yeah, my question was going to be, is there any conflict between, in the event that somebody denies or votes not in favor of zoning or zoning case that comes in front of it, and then turn around and has to see it on the appeal side. Does that cause a conflict of interest, or does it?
That appeals board does not hear appeals of the planning commission's decisions.
It's a total separate, it don't even go through planning and zoning.
So,
The,
Go ahead.
the Board of Appeals would, when they hear an appeal, they're appealing a decision I've made. That would be the recourse for a citizen to, if they disagree with my decision. They also hear variances, so they would become, they have a final decision on variances. Any rulings the planning commission makes at this point are recommendatory to the Board of Commissioners, and those decisions do not get appealed.
Have you seen the other counties doing this? Or have you reached out on that?
Have not reached out on it. The city of Gray, the city council functions as the planning commission and the Board of Appeals. And y'all actually function as the Board of Appeals specifically for private road variances.
Any other questions?
if we did decide to combine them, wouldn't we have to restructure the number of members on the board? And then just say we come up with, would you keep it at 10 or would it be 5?
I would recommend keeping the board at 5. That wouldn't solve the problem with finding people to fill the slots.
Right, but right now we have, 7 active members on 2 boards? So we got 3 positions, 3 empty, vacant.
Yes,
So-
there are 3 currently vacant.
So how do we decide which 2 gets kicked off the island if we go that route, or do we reapply and appoint 5 new members, or?
I would recommend each commissioner make his recommendation for his district.
What's the board's thoughts?
Can we look into what some other counties are doing?
Yeah.
I'd like to do that, as far as look at every county that touches us and see what they're doing. Just kind of come back to us.
Come back next meeting if you
No
think you have
problem.
enough time. All right. Like I said, this was just informational anyhow, and give the board some thoughts on what Tim had.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tim. Mr. Redden, you got the PFA board appointments? You do now?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So our Public Facilities Authority, the bill went through the legislative process and it's now law. And so kind of the next step in that whole process is to appoint members of that board. And so, in your packet there, you've got the language of the bill that went through the legislature. Over on would be, I believe it's page 14 in your packet there. It talks about the membership of that board. And so there are 5 members there. Initially, the terms will be staggered. The terms will always be staggered, but in order to get there, the initial appointments will be for several different numbers of years. And thereafter, all appointments are 3 years. So, and it goes through the requirements there. The county administrator and the finance director are ex officio members of that authority and do not vote. I don't know if y'all have people in mind at this point, or at least wanted to start having a discussion about who you would like to have on that board.
Some other financial experience, that's for sure. I'm thinking self-employed. It's, that's just my thought. Not to rule anybody out, but I think obviously financial experience is gonna be a plus for that one. Any other thoughts?
I do, I agree with that. I think we need to have a diverse group that is representative of the county. And I think I mentioned this before, we need to make sure that as a group of members that are willing to work and dedicated to work, not just, on a board to be on a board.
And community-driven.
Commission this board for each district to come up with a person that fit there.
Have we looked at other counties, how they have created PFAs?
I have talked to a few of them, and so some of them have, certainly financial people, I think, is a sort of a recurring theme that I've heard. People from other government entities in the community, and bankers, small business people. That's the type of feedback that I've gotten from some of the other governments that have these.
And if they're serving on another board, they can't serve on this one also, that's correct.
I think that's probably up to y'all. I mean, there's nothing in the language here that prohibits that. So.
But in general, we normally have that as a standard where if they are on one board, they don't get to serve on another one. And the only reason why I think that becomes relevant is we give more opportunities for folks to really learn and participate in our government. And to Sam's point, I don't want it to be just someone sitting on the board to sit on the board. While I did not support this, I see the opportunity that it presents for the county. And the reality is you should have people who are forward-thinking because they will be ultimately making decisions on how the authority moves and helps to advance the county's agenda with regard to public services. So I do like the business entity individuals, community engaged without question.
Board of Education? Or a Board of Education appointed?
I don't know that I'm there on Board of Ed yet, just because of the facilities. I think I like, again, business because they all have a vested interest. Do we have a resident tenant that wants to participate from the industrial authority? Those type of folks that, again, want to see that growth. Banking is a no-brainer. I served with Alan Childs and the wisdom that came from that and how he even pushed the board forward without being politically motivated, just, having that presence. So I do like the banking component as well. But I think each one of us will go and seek our hearts about who from our district be a good fit.
Should we at least take letters of interest and then come back and discuss the people that are interested in it? Like I said, I mean, I almost don't want to be an appointed board like we do other ones where we go out and try to find somebody willing to sit on the board and appoint them to it, because I don't think they're willing to and wanting to are two different things, and I really think we need, while this particular makeup or this board is really serving one purpose that we intended it, and that's the cost money that we set aside for it, but there may be other potentials in the future. So, yeah, I do think we need forward-thinking, engaged folks to be on it.
So does the board want to put this out for advertisement?
I'd say, see who's interested, get letters of interest.
Someone got a motion to advertise the position for board appointments throughout?
Make a motion to advertise for letters of interest for the Public Finance Authority board members.
We have a
Second.
motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Somebody twist somebody.
Having to encourage them today, aren't you?
Come on.
All of this is information only. Forward and quick.
All right, we got a consent agenda approval for the minutes. We had our first Tuesday, May 4th meeting, also executive session.
Motion to approve, Chairman.
Second.
Second, I like it. You're on a roll. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Radio tower, oh, what?
We need to go back to the public hearing.
What did the public hearing?
Actually wasn't here yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
Good job.
See, I got these women here to keep me straight.
Probably a good thing.
Let's back up. Proposed ban of Walker Lake Road. Miss Brody, the floor is yours.
Well, is anyone for or against the proposed abandonment of Walker Lake Road that would like to be heard? Mr. Nichols, do you want to come on up?
Thank you, Ms. Brady, and thank you, Commissioners. My name is Jack Nichols. My address is 231 Riverside Drive in Macon. I'll be very short and quick, kind of 2 points. The road, as I think you all know, is in very bad shape. I believe what Mr. Lowe stated back in April when y'all first heard this was that it hadn't been worked on in about 7 or 8 years. I think it would cost a lot of money, most likely, for the county to try to fix it up, and there's no real benefit to the county at large for doing that because the road is entirely within my client Nelson Brothers property. So we'd ask that you approve the request to abandon the road, and if there is any opposition, I just kind of reserve need additional time to answer questions from either the board or anyone who's here for the public hearing. And I thank you for your consideration.
Is there anyone in opposition? So, briefly, the board must consider when determining whether or not to abandon a road if it is no longer needed for the public purpose. And under that analysis of OCGA 32-7-1, we would look at what is in the best interest of the public. Has this roadway ceased to be used by the public to the extent that there is no longer a substantial purpose served for it by the public at large, not just the property owners affected by this particular roadway. In addition, is removal from the county road system in the best interest of the public, such that, again, this roadway is not serving a public purpose, and the county would be spending funds to maintain a road that does not serve the public at large. This road has several dilapidated old homes that are no longer inhabitable and is surrounded by this one parcel. So there's only one property owner that's being affected. There's another property owner that apparently has used this to access their home. It does not directly connect to the roadway, and they signed an application package presented to the county agreeing to this abandonment, that they were joining in on the request. Now, I'm not sure if part of this, if you all are going to issue them an easement, or if that's something the board even cares to dive into, but the adjacent property owner did consent and request that the road be abandoned as well. And so pursuant to the board's desire to initiate this process, publication was run through Jones County News, and so now it's before the board, and then we'll discuss the next step if the board decides to abandon the roadway.
What's the board's wishes?
I don't have an issue with it if there's no opposition to it.
Make a motion.
That's your district.
I make a motion that we go forward with the abandonment of, like, I had to think Walker Lake Road. I was going like Walker Lake Road.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Martin. Any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank y'all.
So we have the resolution, we're not quite done with that yet. But there's the resolution abandoning that roadway. Mr. Nichols, if you don't mind, if you would send your application packet to our county clerk so that that can be made part of the record. Because I know the application that you fill out for the county itemizes sort of the reasons behind why the roadway should be abandoned. So if you don't mind emailing that to her.
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Then the next step would be, if a roadway is abandoned, the disposal, because there's times that the county actually owns the property, and, we would have to take bids and determine the value. This is not one of those instances because the county has this from a prescriptive title, which is really the county just sort of inherited it by use and began to maintain it And if you do so for more than 7 years in the state of Georgia, you have a prescriptive title, prescriptive easement. So we don't actually own that land. So we really are just releasing our easement or our prescriptive title, which means the property automatically reverts back to the fee simple owners, which are the property owners there that surround it. And so there's a quitclaim deed which releases our easement or our prescriptive title that Mr. Nichols has drafted. And I may not have printed, we'll have to print that on the break. Did he email that to you as well? Okay, I'll forward it to you. That'll need to be signed.
And I actually have one.
Yeah, that's perfect, thank you.
I think there's either 2 or 3 copies.
And this will just ensure that the real estate records are accurate going forward and accurately reflect the status of that abandoned roadway. So we'll make sure that gets signed, and if you want to hang tight, I can get this back to you and make sure it gets filed with the clerk. But again, because we just hold prescriptive easement as far as our title or claim to the property, we don't actually own the property, so it automatically, sort of by operation of law, reverts back to the fee simple owners. Do you all have any questions about that?
A wise, great attorney that
Keeps this
keeps
straight.
it in line, so.
Did you say that? I need 2 copies.
We just need one.
Oh, I just got one signed up there quickly.
Okay.
All right, that it?
That's it with that. Thank you.
All righty. Now we can go forward. Mr. Graham, you've got a radio tower to repair, it looks like.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I didn't see no candy over here for you. I know you've been coughing and.
I'll find it.
I do want to say this about Ashley. It doesn't have anything about the business. I'm actually proud of the board and Ashley with the, we take care of business, and that, I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. Make me cry. Thank you, Don.
Well, she's my attorney too, so. A few months ago, I noticed that our big 411 tower that's out at the 18 recreation area, that's our radio tower that feeds EMA, fire department, the school system, Public Works, Water Department. When I came on 12 years ago, we ourselves in the school system were the only ones on, I believe, at that time. So I took everybody and put them on the tower. So in 12 years' time, the tower has done its job. The tower is 411 foot. Since I've been here, it's been hit by lightning twice, and I've had to replace some beacons and this and that. Right now, we're running on one beacon right now, and it's a white beacon at the very top. You have to go through a rigmarole with the FCC and the FAA and whoever else is involved. So you have to notify them and get a case number, and that alerts all the planes that are in our areas. So anyway, what I'm getting at, it was I had to notify our communications people to find out what the problem was with our outages on our lights. We were hoping that it wasn't lightning, but we still don't rightfully know, other than the first climb they went up, and there was only one light that was burning up there, but what was found at the initial climb was that the cable and the coax was damaged probably years ago, or either here recently with lightning. So we don't know at the point of when they climbed this last go round whether the old beacons that are up there, and at about 75 pounds apiece, So there's 2 at the top and there's 2 at the 100 feet area. So we don't know if there's 3 more that's burnt out, or is it just the cable and the coax that's out on it, the power pack going up. So when I talk to the Loudon's folks, they're the folks that service all of our towers and et cetera, our radio system. And they gave me a quick overview of what was going on with our tower. To fix or to patch up our problem at the tower, and that's would be replacing them with regular analog or halogen beacons and some other conductors and this and that and this and that. I think Ashley even knows a lot of business about the towers and these and how they work. I don't, but we got a price of $20,896 to go with a halogen light and replace the coax and the cables and the boxes that run the power up to these areas. Now, there's also another proposal by Loudon's for $23,690, which would replace everything, all the hardware, but replace it with LED lights, which I think everybody, when I say everybody, I think the going thing now is replacing things with LEDs. I think that's exactly what we did to this room right here. In the letter, is the letter in the packet that I received? From what Diana, she's a field service manager from Loudon Communications, wrote a nice little etiology of step 1. We can go through step 1 or step 2. Worst case scenario. The big thing is, if you notice how much the climb is itself, it's $3,700 just to climb up 411 foot and back down. But you're carrying 75 pounds worth of lighting each time. So it's not an easy task. I wouldn't climb up 100 foot, and that'd be all I would. But I noticed that these climbs have gone up considerably in 12 years' time. I can remember paying around $1,400 for each time. But I'm asking for y'all's blessing. If it was me and it was totally my decision on this, I would go with the LED package. That means everything will be brand new, plus the LED will more than likely last forever. Certainly more than my lifetime. Unless it gets hit by lightning again. That's the only drawback there, y'all. Mother Nature puts a hurting on us sometimes, and it can't be helped. But we've got a great tower. It serves us great. It serves many people, and we've actually got a backup on there for the sheriff's office too if theirs go down. Department was what I was trying to find. I'm sorry, but it serves a lot of departments. And what I would like to do is ask if we could fix it with the LEDs. I know this is more than $10,000 and going out to bid, but these are the folks that work on our radios and works on our towers, and I really don't really want anybody else to put their hands on it that doesn't know what they're doing. I don't want to sound that blunt, but these people know our system.
Based on having all the other towers and equipment the same, we can consider that sole source.
But yes, absolutely.
Based on that, Chairman, and the fact that LEDs last about 4 times longer than halogens, I make a motion we use the $23,690 quote to repair.
I second that.
We have a second. Any discussion? Got a motion, Mr. Lee, second. Any discussion?
Sure.
Do you know where the money's coming from?
Yeah.
Discussion, while I understand sole source, I'm still a fan of shopping the market.
Yes,
so
sir.
I still want to know. That's just me, but I understand the vote, so.
Yes, sir.
Just
John?
one question. Is there any type of lightning suppression on this?
There is in the box itself, in the power box down on ground level inside the building.
Okay.
It protects the breakers and all that at that area. Now, as far as the lightings, if it's going to take a direct hit up there, there's nothing up there.
You're gonna get $4,000 from each one of the 6 departments that you support for this.
It was talked about, but I think that it comes out of general fund, so we're all getting hit, no matter who we are and where we're at.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
I didn't mean to be long, but it's a
Gotta have it.
sticky subject.
We don't
Thank
want
y'all.
Mr. Martin
Thank you,
running
Don.
into it in one of his solo flights.
Can you know where the money's coming from?
General fund. Isn't that where you said general fund?
Yeah, you have a maintenance and repair type?
I do, but
Just not
you only
that much.
you only gave us $2,000 in that area last year.
So we only need 2160.
I would recommend using what you've got in there and then the balance we continue.
Because we can't fix anything with Splosh, so.
Yeah.
You buy new, you can't fix it.
I was going to say you're buying the new LEDs.
All right.
You're forgetting what's sitting right there.
Ms. Vaughn, thank you, Don. Summer feeding program.
All right, so for the last few years, the commissioners have approved for the Parks and Recreation to help out with the school systems. It's called Seamless Summer Feeding Program. And what the Recreation Department helps out with is the helping of transporting to locations, the lunches and the breakfasts. This year, we're going to do, the Seamless Summer is going to be 5 packaged breakfast and lunches that'll be delivered 1 day a week instead of every day like we've previously done. We're also, for the whole month of June, yes, the whole month of June, there will be summer school going on, so the Recreation Department, the main source for that will be helping us out with packing, getting all that loaded into buses, and help us with any deliveries and things like that. Matt's not here, Mr. Goins, who's the department head for Parks and Recreation, but he did send me an email, and he said that the only thing that they would need was the 2 employees for a total of $4,800 for their salary that he hires in for the summer help to help with the summer feeding program.
It's the same as we've done every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Motion.
Sure night.
You sure
Do
about
I
it?
have to, I get to
You-
make the
you
motion?
did it. You
Oh,
had to-
I was present, okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the Parks and Recreation's help with the Seamless Summer program.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion?
Mr.
None,
Chairman,
oh.
real quick, workforce development, leverage some of those funds.
Exactly.
Okay, you're welcome.
Great. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Back up, Ms. Vaughn,
All
pickleball,
right.
and you've got a guest tonight on pickleball also, and
I have.
and I've got a call from Baldwin County on pickleball, said, y'all need to do this.
First and foremost, thank you to the Johnson County News last week for the nice, wonderful article on pickleball. For those of you that do not know or have never played pickleball, we invite you to come to the Morris Bank Rec Department on Highway 18 And they play every Tuesday afternoon at 6 p.m. and every Thursday afternoon. And you have to wait sometimes quite a few games before you get to play because we only have 2 courts at this time set up. And that's what I would like to talk to y'all about. I'd love for y'all to come. Sam, me and you I've challenged you already and you still haven't.
In my mind,
You've not stepped up to the plate yet, you know, so that I could beat you in pickleball. So,
I got enough trophies.
low blow there. Yeah, you pick up your trash. So, but y'all, it's such a fun sport. I've grown up I've been in sports all my life. And the older I've gotten, the harder those sports became. I had to give up softball a few years ago. So finding something that I could do and enjoyed and the camaraderie of everybody around. I don't own a piece of equipment, but when I go to the court, there's somebody that's going to be there that'll give me a racket and that they have the it's that kind of sport. It's one that everybody wants to help each other with, and we're all we have one 18-year-old that comes out there and plays with us, so it's an all-age sport. I'm going to let Lynn come up and
And we
talk
have
a little bit.
Yeah, Mr. Lynn Duggar from Bell Drive.
No, hardly.
He's the expert in all of our eyes.
No.
He and Brian are.
Actually, yeah, Brian Craddock is back here with me tonight. Brian is the ace player out there. No, thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight and talk just a little bit about this. We've had great fun playing out there, I want to say for about 8 weeks now. Started out and there was about 4 of us that got together and played. You played doubles, so 4 folks played. And we've grown to on any given Tuesday or Thursday night to maybe up to 20 people. So with 2 courts, you got 8 people playing, so you got a lot of people standing around waiting on a court. So, we kind of feel like we've proven what we need to and what we talked about, last time that I talked about this. We wanted to kind of do an experimental thing, and the lines on the court are taped, and they're starting to come up. So it's really it's time to move to the next step. And I actually went out to the rec center today and took some measurements on the court. And I've talked to Matt about this some too. But I took some measurements, and we've got the 2 tennis courts right now. We could fit 3 pickleball courts on each side of the net, and actually with pretty good spacing between them. So I've got the numbers here. I wasn't sure that we could fit 3, and that's why before I got up here and told you that, I wanted to go out there and make sure we can fit. So that would be a total of 6 courts we could fit in there. We could fit 4 in there very comfortably, but we could actually do as many as 6. So 6 times 8, that would accommodate 48 people at any given time. And that, so I guess what you get into there is, do you keep a tennis court? My take on that, my kids played ball at the rec department for a running total of about 10 years. In those whole 10 years, I think I saw those tennis courts being used about 2 times. And I'm not exaggerating. And I also think people that are playing tennis now go to the high school to play. So, feel like I guess the progression that needs to happen is the surface of the courts, they're terrible. There's a lot of cracks. So I had talked to Tracy Rollins, who's a Parks and Rec director in Baldwin County, asked Matt to call her. He did. He has talked with the same folks that resurface the courts in Baldwin County, and I play in Baldwin County 2 or 3 times a week. So got some great courts over there, and I know those guys have talked to you.
He must play too. Does he play outside one of the commissioners?
Johnny doesn't play.
He don't play?
Henry plays.
Okay, Henry Craig does.
Yeah,
Okay.
Henry and his wife play.
Okay.
Yeah, but so anyway, Matt talked with the same folks that redid the courts in Baldwin County. I know in Baldwin County, there was 4 tennis courts side by side. They took 2 of those out and put 4 pickleball courts in, dedicated pickleball courts, and meaning that there are lines just for pickleball. The way we're set up now at the rec department, you've got yellow lines for pickleball and white lines for tennis. It's
very confusing.
It's crazy confusing, especially if you haven't played much. So, extremely confusing. So, but anyway, what they did in Baldwin County, they took 2 courts, made 4 pickleball courts, and they went ahead and in the middle of the tennis courts, they put yellow lines for pickleball courts. So we've got 6 courts over there, and those are pretty full on any given Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. The cost to do that, talking to Henry's, my understanding is about $40,000, what they did in Baldwin County. So when I was at the rec department this morning, John mentioned that Matt had talked with whoever the source is, and he quoted about $25,000. So it sounds in line. If you take half of what they did in Baldwin County, which is kind of what we'd be looking at, that'd be about $20,000. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is how much it's going to cost, because I don't know. I think that's Matt's job. But like I say, we've got to get cracks fixed in a court. The guys that do the surfacing and put the lines on, they do all that. One thing that I don't think was included in the price that Matt got was permanent nets. I think we need permanent nets, because we've got temporary nets out there now, and they've been sitting out. I mean, we've been talking about this for about 8 or 10 weeks. They've been out there, and they're starting to fade already. I think you'd constantly replace those temporary nets. So I think it'd be good if we went ahead and went with permanent nets. But this is, like Wendy said, this is a great game. I'd still love to see some of you guys get out there. I mean, it's you don't run as much as you do in tennis, but it's really a strategy game. I mean, people compare it to between table tennis, racquetball, and tennis. So there's a lot of strategy. Fun game, still getting some good exercise, and I think the more we get into it, I'd love to see the rec department help us advertise it some too. I know this.
And this is, I mean, it's caught on this quick with just word of mouth and a Facebook, that's private message Facebook that we invite people to. So it's not even that anything is out on Facebook promoting that the pickleball is going on these nights, but
It's just like some of us that know about it say, let's bring a friend. And
I knew Lynn loved pickleball, because ever since I've gotten elected, he's letting me know we need more pickleball. Well, then my next door neighbor, which is Brian and Michelle, I saw her wanting to know anything about anybody doing pickleball in Jones County, and I hooked them up together. So then here we are now, and you have that many people every Tuesday and Thursday night.
yeah.
And I'm with, people do play at the high school if they're going to play tennis. Those courts have not been used for years for tennis.
Yeah. I'll say one more thing. I play with a guy in Baldwin County that was a high school tennis coach at Grayson High School. He lives on Lake Sinclair, and he actually lived up there when he taught for a while. He's a great player. He plays over at Tatnall. Brian plays at Tatnall. It's highly competitive at Tatnall. But the guy that I'm talking about, he's telling me that a lot of the guys that play at Tatnall live in Jones County, and they would prefer to play in Jones County. But you're not going to get competitive players to play on courts that are in the shape ours are in right now. So, comment that, and talking to Johnny Westmoreland, John, who was a former commission chairman in Baldwin County, Johnny's comment was, it's surprising at the number of counties that are not taking pickleball seriously. Look right up the road in Griffin. I can't even tell you how many courts. There's a world-class facility up there. I was in Tennessee at my mother's this past summer. at playing with some guys up there, they knew about the complex in Griffin. So there's people out there that want to play, and I think there's plenty of people in Jones County that want to play too. So I would appreciate any consideration you'd give us. So, and thank you for your promotion, and thank you guys. So thank all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? Johnny Westmoreland called me today, he said just wouldn't surprise him how much, traction that this pickleball has taken off with, and they're actually looking at hosting some, tournaments and all. And where was the big tournament Johnny was telling me about? They had several thousand people there on a pickleball ball. He said it was unreal, one of the tournaments.
Cherry Blossom, we had a Cherry Blossom tournament in Macon, it was huge, right? So they turned those tennis courts down there behind Town Hall and pickleball courts. We had people coming up from Florida, South Carolina, and playing. So, Houston County's even built a huge complex down there now, so they just built a huge indoor pickleball complex, and they're building another complex out on Ted Wright Park, turning in tennis courts into pickleball courts as well. So all your surrounding counties are building dedicated pickleball courts. You can get the numbers here in Jones County if we had the courts.
Thank you very much.
There's no doubt it's real popular, and it's something that I agree. I've never seen the tennis courts used that much, and now they've revamped the ones at the high school. I do believe everybody's going up there. I think it's just we definitely have to get more than one quote, and then figure out how we're gonna pay for it.
Sure. All right.
Maybe,
We'll put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
fundraising.
You want to put that on the next agenda? Ms. Vaughn, you want to put that on the next agenda?
Yes, I make a motion that we
Just,
Okay.
we don't need a motion, just
I-
next agenda.
table it to the next meeting. Postpone it to the next.
Postpone it.
Thank you for
She's-
this wording there.
I have a second to postpone to the next meeting?
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I supported pickleball the first time. I said you should roll it out at all the parks, but I thought I was crazy.
So, how about your challenge? Are you taking the challenge yet?
No, I want to
didn't
see
challenge him. I
how
challenged
Sam
him.
does.
I
Yeah,
want to see who's gonna give me a racket when I go out
Yeah,
there. It's like she's getting all the good stuff in it.
absolutely.
Make
Somebody's
sure
waiting
yours
on her to
weighs
get
about
on
5
that.
pounds more.
So my question real quick before we move on, Chairman, if we were looking at it from a tournament perspective, would it require us to do all of the tennis courts, or do we need more, just out of curiosity?
There's only 2 courts there.
That's why I asked if we needed more. Follow me?
I can't really answer that. I mean, I've been a recreational player. I've never played in a tournament. I know Brian has. Brian actually won a tournament here recently. But so, I can
But
only
one
imagine.
tennis court will
I
make,
mean, you can speak to
4.
that.
Yep.
will make
Well,
4
six
pickleballs.
courts, you can have a tournament with 6 courts, you probably have to do it by age bracket, right? So Tatnall, they got 16 courts down there, they can do women's, men's, over 50, all at the same time, we won't be able to do that. If we hosted tournaments, which I know we do, we could do, maybe an over 50 tournament one weekend, over tournament one weekend, women's, doubles, men's, whatever, we could do it that way.
Gotcha.
So 2 courts would give you 8 pickleball.
8 is really tight.
6.
6, you've got enough room in case if I'm running out of my court trying to swing at a ball and you're running out of your court,
We're gonna collide.
we're gonna collide. So having 3 courts on each sides of the nets on 2 is
Next meeting, we can come up, that's great. All right, I can't believe how pickleball's taken off, but
it's
Let me-
fun.
Mr. Nichols, if you would like to send somebody by my Macon office tomorrow, I don't know if y'all are just hanging tight to pick this up. We'll get it notarized and everything, and I'll have it there if that's easier for you.
That'd be great, thank you.
that way you don't have to, unless y'all like to play
Unless y'all
pickleball.
want to hear about pickleball.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we are a fun group, so if you want to hang out, you can.
There's a lot of people.
I like that Sunday pickleball court.
Hey, you sponsor a pickleball court.
We name a court after you.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, hey, thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Got about them sitting there waiting on us to sign that.
Hey, Brian, we do need your address. Because you spoke.
What's your address? You just, because you spoke.
1831
And even if we had to.
Georgia Highway 18,
To make it up and down,
Macon,
let's look at
3127.
All right, thank you.
At the next meeting, Chairman, can we get Matt to get us, more detail, because this has a lot of options on
Sure.
there, but, get it to where we can.
Right, get with Jason on it, Jason and Matt get together. Judge Green, you're up. I know you play pickleball? You play pickleball?
No, I need to.
We'll get
I
him
know.
out there.
I'll try.
I'll challenge you
All
too.
right, that's good.
You want to sponsor a court?
Is this a
I
wage?
don't even think I'll think about that, huh?
No wagering. I'm a politic.
All right. One, I want to apologize to y'all for 2 weeks ago. I just absolutely left the office about 5:30 and forgot about it. Didn't think about it until the next morning. I thought, I got to go to commissioners meeting tonight. I said, whoa, no, today's Wednesday. So anyway, I apologize for that. Secondly, I want to say that this request that I'm making is not something that I take lightly and just come up here on a whim to ask you for. I know this is not the usual way that we do this. Normally it's during the regular budgeting time, and because of the numbers I have on there, I don't know if they have a copy of that request that I sent, but it's just, if I have to wait until September 1 to start the process, it's not gonna, we just need some relief now. And you can see on here from May of 19 through April of 20, and comparing that to May of 21, I got 19 written on there, but to April of 21, our estates and guardianships, our caseload was up 56% over last year. Our firearms license are up 79%. And I can't tell you why, other than us baby boomers are hitting that age where we're needing a guardian, or we're needing somebody to take care of our estate. We've died. I think that's some of it, but the caseload is there. And it could be that, those that are still living and are able to know what's going on, they're scared somebody's going to take the gun. So, they're getting those gun permits. But the gun permits, they are really labor intensive. I don't know that Georgia is an exempt state, meaning if you have a firearms license in Georgia, you don't have to get a background check when you buy a gun. So we got to make sure that person is eligible under federal law in Georgia to buy a gun. So most of them are straightforward. Most of them have no criminal record. If they do, it's very simple. Some are not. And we have to track that down. And it's all over the country. It's not only just in Georgia, middle Georgia. And it takes a lot of effort to do that on a lot of them, more than you would think. So we're just kind of snowed under. I know I came in here last year, and I'll be honest with you, I should have looked back to see when that was and asked for a full-time person. I wish I knew what our caseload was from when I came here, but I guarantee you it's nothing like it was. And I had 2 full-time people then, I've got 4 now. I can look around, most offices have grown from 2, which is what they were then, to 6 or 8 now. I've done my best to keep it down. I've done my best when folks have left to see if we could make it work without it. That's what happened before. We had that position, and I agreed to see if we could do without it. And that didn't work, so we came back and got that one last year. Y'all agreed to that. But anyway, that's where I am, and I don't take it lightly. I would like to start the process if we were able to do that as soon as we can, so we can get somebody on board to help us. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I'll just comment. I guess my hesitation, Judge, is the unknown. I think with COVID and the last year we've had, I know we had a lot of people that were, I think it goes exactly what you were saying. You got a lot of people that thought about, when you start hearing in the news, you got people that are dying from this and you're doing this and doing that. It makes people really think about, maybe I do need to get my, things in order. We know that was affected by the firearm license, because you can't find any bullets on the shelf right now, and that's still a backlog. and I definitely don't want to call it a knee-jerk reaction, because I know you've done your homework and you've looked at the trends on the caseload, but it worries me to make decisions based on a really, really crazy year. So that's the only hesitation I have is we had, we got the one employee last year, and now just a crazy, crazy year has us all aware that there's a bigger need right now, but what happens if a year from now, all that goes back down to what it was, and things get more on a level keel instead of a panic keel, as I would say. That's my only concern.
And that's a good point. And I will say, firearms licenses are down some now. I mean, there for a while, we couldn't do anything in our office but them. I mean, that was it. We were making appointments, and we finally started having to make them a half a day. And then we tried 3 days a week, 4 days a week, because we couldn't do anything else in the office. Because not only when they come in, well, if you're doing a renewal, you don't have to be fingerprinted, but a lot of these folks have never had them that are coming in. So, it takes a while to fingerprint. So my point is, we did that, but the estates, I don't think, is going down. I don't think folks waited till COVID to die or to, need a guardian, and I'm not trying to be, but I'm just saying, I think those are there to stay. And I want to remind you that position I came back and got last year was one that I had. And I thought, I remember talking to Levita about it. I said, I think we can do it, without that person. Well, it didn't work out that way. We tried. And I will say this. I've been around here a good while. I don't know many folks that have done that have given up a position and tried to make it work. We did, and it didn't. Now, are there times in our office when you can walk by and there's nothing going on? Yeah. Yeah. And probably that's the times that y'all would walk in. But there are times that we just can't keep up. And the guardianships and estates, I have normally, since I've been there, I've had one person doing them, amongst other things. I mean, you got to do everybody's got to do a firearms license and issue a marriage license. Our marriage licenses are up, but that's not a big issue. They're not hard to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. You do those. But
If it took longer to do those, you may have less divorces, right?
That's true. That's right. I could get one of the clerks off, Superior Court's employees if we did that.
Right.
Yeah. But we can't keep up with that now with one person. It just doesn't work. These guardianships, it's not only doing the guardianship for especially, well, for children too. We normally have to do those if they come into some money from somewhere, a settlement, a lawsuit, or inheritance. Then if there's not other arrangements, then we have to appoint a guardian. Well, that brings on them filing annual returns with us. And believe me, getting them to file them is not the simplest thing to do. And of course, then we have to go through them and audit them and make sure they're spending the money the way they're supposed to spend it. So as we get more of those cases, it's more of those things that on an annual basis, but it's every month, that we have to keep up with. Good gracious, Miss Susie hadn't filed that return for little Johnny from last year. We're trying to get them in there to do it. So I do think the firearms license, I can't see it being that many next year.
And we did have more deaths in Jones County than we normally do because of the pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
That's pretty obvious. And
But anyway, I'm here at y'all's mercy, and all I can do is bring it to you and see what you think. And like I say, I'd be glad to answer any other questions, concerns.
Anyone else have any questions? Will of the board.
Motion to approve.
With the motion, we have a second.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay. Thank y'all, gentlemen, and elections.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I've seen you.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Commissioner Wood, Home and Child Road. Your old business.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Since the last time we talked about this subject, I've reached out to our federal partners, Federal Lands, Oconee Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest Rangers. Spoke with Ms. Elizabeth Caldwell. She's worked for over 3 decades out of the Eatonton office, and they reached out higher up in the chain to see if that road, Homer Childs Road, had ever been issued a Forest Service road number, and it had not. I know Tiffany and Jason have done some extensive work in the courthouse researching deeds and that sort of thing, and I think all research points to it being a county road that needs to be maintained. I think.
And I would just add to that, we had Ashley look through all this as well. It looks like right now, as you look at that parcel, we go to sort of I think it's the easternmost corner of it. We did find a plat that shows an additional section indicated as county road, and we've kind of cross-referenced that with other plats and with Google Earth imagery, and it does look like the county road does extend to where this homeowner was
Right, to the
contending that it
mailbox
is.
area. Right, that's correct.
So,
All right, that's administrative there, it's ours.
Mhm.
All right, good deal.
All right,
is that-
thank you.
All right.
Do you have anything else on that?
I mean, there's a warranty deed from 85 and a survey that reflects the county road, the distance of that gravel drive to the county road is 1,482 feet, which is the distance of that gravel road. And so if that section weren't county road, then that would have conveyed a distance of about 2,800 feet to be able to get to the county road, which is where we stop now. So clearly from the previous surveys and warranty deeds that were done years ago, the county road did stop. I agree with them, stop there at the end of the gravel drive.
Okay,
It's ours.
all right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ridner, Shannon said you're doing the wellness program?
Oh, okay.
She put it on here, but she
I
said
know.
Jason's doing it, so that's fine.
Yeah, she and I talked about it beforehand. So a couple things there we wanted to ask the board to consider approving. One is on the HRA we have now that basically reduces your deductible down from $5,000 to $2,500. We want to take that from $2,500 down to $2,000, so that the county covers $3,000 of the deductible. We think we can do that for very minimal cost. We've built up a good amount in that HRA account that we have to put money into to cover those situations, and so don't think there'll be much additional cost there. That's one thing. We've also been working with corporate health partners to design another level of wellness activities, so that employees, right now, employees can earn $100 basically in the middle of the year, July, and then another $100 towards Christmas if they meet their wellness goals. We are looking at increasing that amount and using a system that Corporate Health Partners has developed. And so now you may have to attend 2 healthy credit type things. And it could be a little luncheon seminar kind of thing, watching videos, so forth. These new activities that employees will have to complete, they are health goals, basically, dealing with your BMI and your blood pressure and your glucose and so forth. And so if you meet those goals, then we were looking at I think it's $1,000 for the year. Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong. That employees would earn through that, and so I think that's a good step from where we are now to really incentivize folks to participate in the wellness program and to keep themselves healthy.
Are we gonna do that on the actually hand them 1,000, or are we gonna do it on the deductible? Because, I mean, the HRA is obviously working, because that's the whole goal of the HRA was to be able to reduce the deductibles through that account that we're actually contributing to, and it's been working. But is that for the deductibles, or is that actually $1,000 we're gonna hand them?
No, that would be $1,000 we would hand them. The deductible is a separate piece. So I think we'll be able to do both there.
Open for comments. Commissioner Martin, you got
You know, I'm smiling because we know where we were 4 years ago. We were not very healthy as a county. And obviously, the HRA was an incentive, but, you know, to Jason's point, you know, it's a couple show up, kind of feel good. I remember driving up here to get my blood pressure checked, and, you know, I felt like, this is cool. But then I remember at the same time, Geico gave every one of their employees one of those little bands, and they had a Fitbit challenge, and it was massive, you know. And I borrowed somebody's because I wanted to compete. And it was exciting. I don't know all the rewards they got, but it drove a healthy consciousness within the corporation. And so I think from our perspective, because of where we were from a claims and just being unhealthy, I think it's a great way to go. I mean, I don't have a problem handing somebody $1,000 if it saves me $60,000 on an open heart surgery or some other thing, diabetic medicine or whatever it is that we deal with, that are the big factors. We know 220 people aren't going to go out and do it, but it's secured enough to make at least 100 to them, maybe the ones that are the most challenged to go out there and be productive. So I'm excited about it. I think that's the next step that we are ready to take, kind of like pickleball.
We're gonna do it with the Fitbits?
What's that now?
I said, we're gonna do it with the Fitbits?
No, it'll be through.
I'm asking Commissioner Martin, he brought the Fitbits with the challenge and all.
I mean, if you'd like to know that I covered 6,800 steps today.
I've got 12,000, thank you.
I've got 1,500 miles on a bike this year.
Well, I'm averaging 12,000 for 41 days in a row.
I ain't finished with the night.
Because I'm already in a challenge, and they give me a hard time every night.
And,
10
and,
o'clock.
and you see what it's promoting, and that's the point, because Sam was probably the least fit of us.
Exactly. Still is.
That's why he won't meet me at the pickleball
Still
court.
is. That's exactly right.
I'm putting money up on it.
I got a mirror. Y'all ain't shaming me.
Well, what's the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second, any more discussion?
Are we clear on what the,
Yeah, what we,
okay, just making sure.
all right.
Clear
Second,
on the motion.
we're clear on the motion? Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Sound like ayes got it. Thank you. Fitbit, okay. I hate to tie one on to me. Y'all be running way behind. That's okay. Department heads. Mr. Graham? Yeah. I'm gonna call on the mayor after you.
Thank y'all for the support. I really appreciate it. One thing I just want to say, 2 weeks from today is hurricane season. We've got 2 sirens that are ready to go to be put in the ground or erected, and 2 more that are being worked on right now for later on. So hopefully they'll be in the next 6 weeks, I hope. 2 are ready to go, and we're going to place those. But 2 weeks from today, you know how they spin up, the hurricanes do, and they're expecting another big season. So those are the most scary things to me is weather. And that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for everything.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I guess we can tell you department head of the city, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Pickleball court. I was out at Lizella Baptist Church here a couple of weeks ago, and out back in their recreation department, they've got a nice fenced-in pickleball court. So, you know, I thought, well, wow, you know, people out in Lizella got pickleball courts. The world should have pickleball courts, I'm just saying. Just a quick update on some of the things that's been going on in the city. Of course, this past Friday, we had our Gobble Wobble food truck, Frenzy Friday. great success. The same trucks with additional couple more there Saturday for Turkey Fest. We were real happy. When I say we, the city, Main Street, Chamber, everybody involved was real happy with the results. Some of our vendors sold out. The food truck people, they were really so excited. They wanted us to have, food trucks there all the time, but we ain't going down that road right now, trust me. But it did give us an opportunity. Myself and Councilman Favors did the health inspection, and it gave us a chance to, tip our toes in the water, as the saying goes. But the people in the food trucks, food trailers, whatever, they're prepared for this, because y'all going to have the opportunity coming up before long on, doing some inspections. And basically, if you got that little handheld thermometer, you just point at the top of the grill, it tells you how hot. Point it at the grease, it tells you how hot. Put it in the cooler, it tells you how cool. Just make sure that you've got your forms that are filled out. Just make sure that the vendors understand. There was one question, said, do you use the same ice to store your food to serve drinks to your customers? The guy says, yes. He didn't, but I'm just saying, but they get in the habit of, yes. So it was just, we had a nice talk with him, and we got it corrected, and he was not doing it. I double checked behind him. And Turkey Fest, like I said, not only gave us camaraderie, we had people from all over Middle Georgia there. The Jones County Cruisers not only had a chance to show off their classic autos, but they used it as a fundraiser for young Mr. Herring. And from what I read on social media, they raised about $4,800 for that family, for him and his expenses. So it's another example of Jones Countyans coming together to support Jones Countyans. So I was real pleased with that. Our next scheduled event is going to be the 4th of July Independence Day celebration. It's going to be Thursday, July 1st at the Morris Bank Recreation Complex on Highway 18. So that's going to be the next social event. This coming Sunday at 12:30, we've got ribbon cutting for Butler Hall. It's going to be a wedding expo. Don't go down there today or tomorrow. It looks like part of the Palestine-Israeli war zone right this second. But that's one of the things we're doing now. We had to redo the stormwater, so we got a big stormwater project, getting it out of the way, because once we spent all these thousands of dollars paving Ross Street, we'd have to go back and turn it back, tear it right back up. So we're making progress on that. We're doing several other smaller projects on the sewers, working on I&I, because, we're trying to, get a hold on I&Is. We talked to commissioners and everything about, for the new wastewater treatment plant, make sure what's actually wastewater and what's, extra water that's getting in there through I&I, stuff like that. So we're making progress on that. Quick update, the Broken Axle Restaurant, which is where the old Gray Auto used to be. So hopefully they're going to be open next month. Part of the situation is what a lot of people are facing today. You can't get anybody to work fast. You can't afford the materials to build it. So they're fighting it. They are committed. Jack's, the drive-through restaurant going next to the orthodontist building. They've got the buffer fence fit is up. So if you're going around Fraley Street, you will see that part up. As far as demolition, they moved the ice stand across the street over there to where Elite Fitness and all that is. So we're making projects. And as far as Old Zaxby's, the only thing I can get out of Old Zaxby's is I've got prospects. So, and everybody knows y'all deal with developers and prospects. Nobody wants to tell you anything. Maybe, yes. The Old Gray Motel, great progress. They basically come in to Gray, took an eyesore, and it's, you don't mind driving by it now as you used to in the past. They pretty much finished with the outside painting. They've had the roof in. I understand the two major holdups is the parking lot resurfacing, which they've already supposed to have done, but there again, it's a matter of getting the people that going to do the work there. They've cleaned up the rooms, getting them set up. They've already got people asking when you're going to open up. So they've got to, the clientele is there. It's going to be an extended take, kind of like the courtesy court there in Macon. So they're ready. I try to get for more information, and when I tried to talk to the owner on site, the only thing I could get out of him was no speak good English. So yeah, it's kind of hard to communicate with that, but that's fine too. But they've got it's the old sign. It's still the old Yellow Gray Motel, but they went in and took out the old fluorescent bulbs and got new LEDs in there. So they did upgrade it. They didn't, they're not just slapping a coat of paint on it and what's so saying putting lipstick on a pig. They're not doing that. They're up there doing it, and they've remodeled the rooms and stuff like that. But like I said, I just wanted to give you a quick update, and like I say, when you say idea of what's going on. Any questions from? I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
They are making a big difference at the hotel and at the Butler Hall. It looks good. To me, crazy construction like that looks like progress. So.
Oh yeah, and like I say, if they was late on the sewer, the stormwater project, it's already happened. But there again, used to people was knocking on your door for work. Now you have to drag them over here. Yes, sir. Thank you all again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Got anything, Jason?
I'll just mention real quick that been sitting through a lot of webinars and training type things on the American Rescue Plan Act funding. Last Monday, they opened the portal, U.S. Treasury did, and we were able to go in and apply for our funds. They said 8 to 9 days after that, we should have the first tranche, which is 50% in our bank account. So we're eagerly awaiting that's arrival, and still learning more about the rules and regulations that will be associated with that. Treasury issued a rule last Monday. It was about 150 pages worth, and so digesting some of that and staying tuned for whatever else they might issue there. Working closely with Tri-County on broadband and working on some mapping related things there. So that process is moving right along.
That's it. Brody, you got anything?
I have nothing. Thank you, Chairman.
Ms. Wagner? Citizen comments. Man, you have to come up. You just introduce your place and yourself and your.
Chris Tillman, I live at 157 Jackson Avenue.
Yes.
And what I want to discuss was the mask requirements and the enforcement of the mask requirements in the government buildings. I hardly ever come up here except to vote or get a tag or something like that. And when it was time to vote, early vote and everything, everybody was wearing their mask, and a lady and her daughter, I guess it was a daughter in front of me, didn't have a mask on, and the officer said, "Ma'am, do y'all have a mask?" And they said, "Yeah, we have a mask," and put it back in their pocket, and he walked off, So that was just something I observed. So then last month, I bought a new motorcycle, came down here from the bank with my paperwork to drop it off, and put my mask on, no big deal, and go in there and notice that the women working in the office they're behind plexiglass, but they're not having to wear masks, no big deal. My wife comes a few days later after everything gets filled out, and she noticed as well the same thing. She put her mask on and come in. So, let's see, last week on the 11th, well, the 10th, some bracket broke and I lost my tag. Somebody said, "Man, your tag flew off," and I couldn't find it. So I came down here to get a replacement tag. I called, and they said, "Yeah, you can come down here and get it." So my observations are, I'm seeing people walk around in here and people working here not having to wear one. So I get to the metal detector up front, and the officer says, he goes to give me a mask, and I take the mask from him, and I go sit down at the bench, wait my turn, but I just set the mask beside me. And, before I walked in, I'm sorry, he gave me the mask, and I said, and somebody walked by, and I said, "Well, what about that man right there? He don't have a mask on." Well, his supervisor said they don't have to wear a mask if they don't want to. So that's when I go sit down at the bench, and I put the mask beside me. I'm going to wait my turn to go to the tag office. And there's two other people waiting to come in the door, and he looks over at me and says, "You need to put that mask on." And I said, sir, nobody else in this building's wearing a mask. And it just doesn't make any sense. And he says, he gives me an ultimatum then, either you put the mask on or you got to leave. So I just put the mask on the corner of his desk and left, called the tag office, had them mail me the paperwork to get my tag. So now I'm doing everything by mail. And sure, I could have put the mask on and went in there and got the tag, but the whole point was the optics of everything is if you're a government employee working in a government building, you have a choice. But as a private citizen, I walk in, I'm given an ultimatum, either you put it on or you don't do business here. So I don't understand the logic behind that. And I know that because of the government, you have to put these signs on the door. But if the government employees don't have to do it and they have a choice, and if you want to wear a mask, fine, I have no problem with that. But that ought to be a choice if the employees have a choice. And I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. You know, maybe we can make it, I know everything's starting to calm down with the mask and all that, but I'm hoping that maybe, you know, just my comments here will let that be a choice and not, you know, you can't do business here. So I just wanted to bring that to, you know, everybody's attention.
Right.
And
Well, this board, you know, we mandated masks when they mandated. Obviously, you know, as you see, the board's not wearing them right now because in the last week or so, they've dropped a lot of the mandates. I agree, there's been some lax here, definitely. Do I like it? No, I'll tell you right now, that's the worst thing I've ever had to do, is run around doing masks. But, you know, it's rules, and the gentleman up at the front door was following what he was told to do by this board, you know, in mandatory wearing a mask. That's a question we've got to ask the board tonight. I mean, obviously the mask, you know, Ms. Wagner's still wearing hers. Not everybody's gonna get a shot, you know, so you know, it's time for us to make the next step. I agree with you 100%, you know, everybody should wear them. You're not the first person that's had that same concern, you know.
I understand.
I just want you to know that the deputy at that door is doing his job and doing what he's told to do. So, I mean, don't take it out on him.
No, and that's one thing I wanted to point out.
Sure.
This has nothing to do with being anti-police, anti-government. I have family members that are police officers, and I have friends that are police officers. It has nothing to do with that. And when I shared the story with most people, I put just the man at the door, the guy manning the door, because I didn't want people commenting, yeah, you know, the police and this, that, and other. So I wanted to be I didn't want it to be a political or anti-police thing. It was just my observations of him coming up to somebody, not putting on a mask, and he walks away, and then he tells me I have to leave.
Right.
So, and that was just and you know, I was like, I can do this by phone, but the more I drove down the road, the madder I got about it, you know. But and I left because I respect his authority.
Sure.
I did, you know. But the whole thing was, if you're gonna make everybody, if you can't just let somebody stay, and then just kick somebody out.
Right.
So I just wanted to bring that up, and I know everything's kind of calming down with the mask here lately, but I would like to see it be a choice thing.
Sure.
You know.
Did you say that happened during voting? With the mask situation?
With the officer and the two females?
When,
yeah, that was during early voting.
all right, I
Yeah.
just want to clarify, during voting, we cannot enforce anyone to wear a mask.
Okay.
Right.
You
Okay.
can't restrict anybody. They could have walked in with 104-degree fever, and we would have had to let them vote.
Okay.
I think what he's speaking of was last week.
Well, I was using that as an
Right,
example during
right,
voting.
right,
Yeah, I was
right,
using that
right.
example that somebody was able to stay, and I was told to leave. So.
Chairman, to me, that's a problem. It seems like the only person doing their job was law enforcement.
Right.
The rest of them that were walking around without a mask, at that time, there was a mandate by this board that everybody in this building wears a mask. And that's top-down leadership from day one. Shame on us for not enforcing it. Shame on every department head and every supervisor that told their employee that they could go without a mask until this board made a decision otherwise, except for constitutional officers, which in my opinion was one of the reasons we had to go to a mandatory mask originally, was because our constitutional officers are requiring them, which they can without this board's approval. What we were running into is if the board made it optional, and you didn't wear a mask and you came into the building and you wait in line 10 people and get to the tag office, and the door said, and on the doors, the tag department says you have to wear a mask because it's a constitutional officer, says you got to wear it in here. Then we were getting people getting frustrated, going, well, I got all the way in there and waited for an hour and couldn't find out I couldn't be served without a mask. So we made a decision at that time to make it mandatory across the board. So everybody you saw that day, any of those days without mask on, were in the wrong.
Well, and like I said,
100%.
I'm happy for them that they had that choice, you know.
Well, they didn't.
But but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they didn't have that choice. Yeah.
They weren't given that choice, but by this board.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been happening.
But
We
I
appreciate
have
your
no
concern.
problem with the employees that didn't have them on or whatever, but it was just my thing that
Sure.
the optics of it was,
I understand.
you live under a different standard than we do.
Yeah.
So, all right, I appreciate y'all hearing me out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't ever hesitate to contact us, or
All right, no problem.
all our cards are up there. You can call any one of us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else tonight? Ladies first on commissioner's comment?
I think I said it all.
You just said it all?
I talked about pickleball, so I was happy.
Commissioner Barton?
Just real quickly, again, workforce development summer internship opportunities. Since Judge Green is still there, consider taking on some part-time workforce folks. There's funding that will help alleviate some of those pressures. And then that's an opportunity for training. We know that in the county government, we have an aging workforce. And I think getting our youth exposed early and then compensating them along the way will help in that transition. There's a construction certification program that just came out in Baldwin County that is coming under the governor's funds, the gears. Oh, now I moved. I love Facebook. In any event, it's at constructionready.org, and pretty much they get a construction-ready certification. So again, that's constructionready.org. One of the old Workforce Development Board members launched this program to help. It's under the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Funds Act, so it's under the CARES Act. But essentially gets them construction ready. We know that the construction field has had challenges as well. That's a great opportunity for our youth to go through a free program to get certified, and that gets them ready to work on some of these job sites and then take the next step in their career. So that is out there. I'm hoping that maybe Workforce will talk to him about bringing it this way, because it is in Baldwin County.
They've already contacted you, then.
Good. All right, so.
I'm learning.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I've been taking my classes also. I'm quickly learning.
I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work. With that being said, I think every student should have an opportunity with those funds. Last year, we had about 105,000. I don't know what we'll have this year, especially if it wasn't funded or the funds weren't used. So every department, I think, should have an opportunity to take a youth on. So let's spread the word. Everyone should have an intern or two. All right, and last but not least, when you travel around the state, you will see some opportunities for what counties do to create space for people that are traveling. And said plainly, the hotel is being redone, so that's given us an opportunity for people to come and stay. I don't know the Airbnb population here in Gray. It just doesn't seem like an Airbnb place. Is that about right? That's what I figured. But in some of the travelers around the state, you have the state providing space for people to travel. Sometimes it's free, and definitely on the federal ground, some of it is free. But if we have some open space, consider our opportunity to give primitive tenting an opportunity for those people that ride bikes. Sometimes they just need a place to pitch a tent. But even more importantly, it gives people an opportunity to come stay and visit Gray, especially if something's going on, if there's a tournament. So I don't know if we have any of those vacant spaces. I know we're going to auction off some land, but even the park, come rent a space for a day. I know in Bibb County you can go down and rent the RV spaces periodically. That's sort of no frills. It's just a connection. And all we're doing is driving interest into what we do here in Gray, so in Jones County in particular. It's just a great opportunity. So consider that. And I think that was it. Oh, no, sorry. Dilapidated house lists. I know we adopted the opportunity to work on the report by the committee, and I really want us to have a list of those houses and go after them. We used to target 4 or 5 homes per district, and I want us to start working on that. again. So if we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting, hey, let's have that list and let's go get it. Thank you.
Mr. Wood?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Mr. Pittman for coming forward tonight and speaking about the mask, and I agree, it's time to make the next step and go to maybe a recommended mask, but not mandate requiring a mask and throwing people out of the building. That's the way I think most, you go into Walgreens, it's recommended, but they will, it's not required in the building. Many other places around, same thing. Signs are coming down. And got some grass issues with trash and some signs that got mowed when grass cutters went around. I brought that to Jason's attention. I hope we can, address that with employees so it doesn't happen again. And maybe we need to start treating all of our grass like it's your own mother's front yard and not just somewhere else on the road that, is getting mowed and trashed. Because we need to make our county look the best we can. And there's some places that need a little extra effort to when they get mowed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kitchen?
I agree with the mask mandate, and I think we need to reach out to our constitutional officers to make sure we're all on the same page, so we don't get back to a confusing situation where we're making it optional and then some are still mandatory. But my guess is if we've got employees, that are not wearing them, then I don't think there's the fear level of having visitors that are having to wear them. So I would agree. I think I would definitely support optional mask.
It's already done through the state now, right?
I mean, y'all can't vote on it during comments, but you could, I think it would be appropriate for you to sort of administratively direct Jason to let Jason change that policy. I mean, that's an administrative policy.
All yours. Throw you under the bus.
To follow, just to follow, administratively follow the CDC guidelines.
That's all I got, Chairman.
Great. At this point, we're still running pretty late. Need a motion to go to executive session for a quick real estate personnel.
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank everybody for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts.